Okay, welcome. What we're going to be talking about today is the idea of whether this is going to be the next big ritual that the system carries out in terms of a physical representation similar to 9/11 of I don't want to say whether it's positive or negative. I mean, obviously, if you live downstream of this thing getting blown up, it's going to be negative. But what I'm saying is, on the whole, for consciousness, this thing that appears to be very negative has a symbolism that could be construed as a positive metaphor for what needs to happen in the reality. I don't know. Or it could be a negative. There could be negative connotations to what this thing getting blown up could mean. I'm getting stuck for words here, and this is going to be quite a long video, and I don't want it to be too long and too complicated. I'm going to have to gloss over a lot of stuff in this video, because I want it to be bearable for people. So, alright, this is the video here that got me looking at this. It's a video, it was made a while back, and you know what, I've heard, when this is by Shaking My Head Productions, in case you can't read this. When the levee breaks, Hoover Dam Predictive Program is what it's called. Now, immediately when I saw this, I'm thinking of, drove my Chevy to the levee and the levee was dry, and I'm thinking, oh, the Colorado River is what was dammed up. Interesting. And the Chevy Colorado pickup, interesting. Is there a date there with the Z71 pickup? Don't know, maybe. So I've been seeing a lot of, where I'm going with this is I've been seeing a lot of numbers echoed with this whole thing. 15, 17, 8s, 10s, quite a few different numbers. So trying to figure out an exact date and time and all this sort of stuff for what I'm thinking about here is going to be difficult, but I am going to give you a date at the end of this, which I'm thinking about quite a bit, and it's an interesting one, so stay tuned. But immediately I see this video, and some of the stuff that I'm going to go into is not in the video, or there might be some little bits and bobs, but for the most part, the stuff I'm going to talk about is not in this video. But this was the precursor that got me looking at this stuff, and I have, I'm sure, I've come across this stuff within the last year as well. This is not just the only video that I've seen, but just recently I saw this video and it's just got me thinking about it more and more. So without further ado, let's get into. So anyway, I'm thinking, as soon as I'm, the cogs start turning, and I'm thinking dam busters, and I go watch the trailer because they've revamped dam busters, and of course I'm watching the trailer, and he's talking about he's like, there's a little clip out of the film, and he's talking about a bomb skipping on the water like a ping pong ball right at this point. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I just saw something about that in this video that I watched. Ping pong, the ping pong table, which is in the shape of the, let's find a picture of it real quick, in the shape of the bridge. Now I can't find it, of course. In the shape of this bridge, which is alluded to in this video, but I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting that we've already linked to the dam busters. This black backdrop here is supposedly the dam, which is falling away in this video. So already we're getting into some... I'm already getting into some deep stuff. Anyway, of course, I don't know why this springs to mind, but I'm like, anytime we talk about predictive program, with what went on with 9/11, immediately I'm thinking Back to the Future. Immediately. And even before I'm thinking Back to the Future, I'm thinking about this scene in... Let's just go to this, because this links into Back to the Future. I'm thinking about this scene in Superman. I think it's the first Superman, and there's an earthquake, and the fault line opens up, and of course, I think this is supposed to be the Hoover Dam, and it's collapsing basically, and Superman comes in, saves the day. But while he's saving the day, Lois Lane gets swallowed up by the earth and ends up dying. And I mean, there's a scene, the scene when she's dead. I don't know if that's actually on this part of the video, but it's interesting in its own right. No, it's not. But needless to say, I've got another clip of it up, and this is him turning back time, spinning the Earth backwards. We've got a reference to Saturn and time here. But it's interesting that we have to take going back in time, and a reference to Back to the Future going back in time. Of course, when he pulls her out of the car when she's dead, she is very silvery. A reference to the moon, I believe, and the fictional side of the system may be dying. And of course, him being the balanced man between the living and the fictional, the red and the blue, ends up resurrecting her, basically going back in time to save her. Anyway, enough about that. It's just interesting that the dam is in there collapsing, and it's a turning point with the feminine aspect of reality. And what, I won't get too bent up on, it's some people might say, oh, Dan, you're going on about the feminine in a very negative way, but it's just the way men have portrayed the fictional system as being, the thing that tempts man has to be woman, doesn't it? So that's why we use all the temptations in life being represented by the feminine. It's not a sexist thing. It's just a metaphoric thing. Anyway, I know this is sounding real drab at the minute because it's, again, I seem to do all my stuff very late at night because this is when I've got time to do it. So anyway, let's cut to Back to the Future. Alright, we've got Superman taking us back in time. Now let's cut to Back to the Future. And two things popped out to me when I saw that first video, that predictive programming video. I thought, there's a couple of things in Back to the Future that really stick out to me. And one of those things is Doc's favourite thing to say, which is, damn, 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 damn. And this is the scene. And it starts at, let's move it on a little bit. It starts with the minute hand moving. Oh my gosh. And I don't know where exactly it starts in it. I really want to avoid playing this stuff because I can't be dealing with the copyright deal. But anyway, the hand moves on 1 minute. Trust me, that's a minute. At least the way I saw it was a minute. So we're starting at 4 minutes to 10. Now, what happens during the scene is we've got Doc looking at his watch and looking at several different watches during this scene, and saying, "Damn, where is that kid? Damn, damn, where is that kid?" You know, something like that. Anyway, he says it several times. You'll know the scene. Anyway, Marty finally turns. They're saying "damn" again. Okay, so Marty finally turns up, and then Marty gets in the DeLorean and takes off, and then I think the next time we see the clock tower, it may not be the next time we see the clock tower, but when lightning strikes, the electricity strikes at 4 minutes past 10. So that's when the clock stops, which is interesting. That gives us a total of 8 minutes between the start of that scene and the start of the dam scene and lightning striking, the electrical power produced by the dam striking. So by the dam, by the hydroelectric plant. And before I forget about that, it's interesting, isn't it, right at the minute, that Trump keeps mentioning the hydroxy. The hydroxy. The hydroxy. He abbreviates it to hydroxy. Well, of course, a reference to the water. And that might be why he keeps going on about it. You know, a reference to the waters and to the ensuing flood of the world with the fictional system. You know, the legal maritime law system, and everything else that's fictional as well. The false idols that we have. So anyway, so that's that scene out of the way. Well, the scene that really immediately I thought of was this Back to the Future scene here. We are straight into Back to the Future 2, and the very odd thing about having the you'll know the scene straight away. It's the hoverboard or the Hoover board scene, where he's getting chased by Griff, I believe, is the younger Biff character is Griff. So he's coming out of the Cafe 80. He gets a hoverboard or a hoverboard from the little girl, and there's Griff's car. And interestingly, I'll just make a little note about this very quickly. It's a BMW, black. We've got the red stripes, but you know, we've got this black reference to the BMW, which I pulled up in which is pulled up in a Coldplay video, The Scientist, and I talked about the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash, where the helicopter turns from the blue and white, and the BMW logo is a reference to the propeller. Go back and watch that video on I can't even remember what I called it now, but anyway, it's in one of my previous videos. And so we've got this reference again to Kobe in this part here, you know, through the Coldplay video. Anyway, let's just move on, because there's another reference with this BMW, but we'll get to it later, to Vegas here in a minute. So anyway, we have the little chase scene around town, and what's interesting about and there's going to be a bunch of stuff that I miss out of here, but we've got the bridge, the arched bridge going over the water as well, as we do at the Hoover Dam. And trust me, there is some good stuff in here. Marty falling off, blah blah blah. We've also got Griff on a rocket powered board, which is interesting. Now, the way they've done their water feature in front of the clock tower is with a lot of boulders, and originally it was called Boulder Dam, I think, and of course the reference to the Colorado River and Colorado Boulder and Boulder City that's right there next to the dam. We've got a lot of references to boulders. And again, a desert, I don't even say it's a safari jeep, but you know, when I see this, it's a reference to the desert to me. And as he's getting towed around like you would if you were water skiing on a lake, of course I don't see it in here, but trust me, he pulls out a tether that, you know, that you would get pulled on if you were water skiing. There it is, around a lake. And of course, you know, we don't want to forget about the lake reference with Kobe playing for the Lakers and Lake Mead. We've got Griff there getting ready to swipe him with the bat. Batman reference. And we've got the what this model is, a 633. Of course, we've got to have some numbers in there that means something. And then CSI. I thought that was interesting. That's a really good reference to Las Vegas, and of course crime scene investigation, and of course what do they use for the music in, you know, the title music in that show, of course, is The Who, another reference to Hoover. Right, okay, so here's all the boulders around. I mean, it's an interesting looking water feature, isn't it, with the boulders? I mean, the more I think about this, the more it is like, this is, you know, boy, you know. I tell you what else happens while he's getting towed around town. He does a kind of arc, which is a reference, I think, to the dam as well. The face of the dam or the bridge. Again, he goes up on the side of the board and does a sort of arc, and he does that in a couple of places as well, which is interesting. Of course, he gets stuck out in the water. Hoverboards don't work on water. So, before he gets stuck here, though, there is a point at which he looks down. Not this point. Anyway, I can't get on it. But there's a point at which he's looking down at the keystone of the dam. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere in here anyway. Without playing, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to find that point. But anyway, trust me, he does. There's a moment when they focus in on the keystone of what would be the dam. So anyway, there it is. Look at that. This is what he's looking at, this keystone. Now, what's interesting about it is these guys lock on. I think he's I think he says lock on. And again, another destruction term. He's on a board with rockets, and Griff says lock on, as a missile would lock on to its target. Batter up, and away they go. And of course, Marty has no option but to take the plunge. So Marty's going to get baptized. But these guys, so I don't know if that's talking about being, you know, kind of a rebirth thing there with Marty. But I mean, it's just there's so much to get through and so many ideas here. I mean, it's just, I was really hoping I could find the spot where the board, I guess you'll have to take my word for it on this one as well, but the board contacts at some point right here, contacts that keystone just right here, I think, just somewhere right there. Anyway, this is painful trying to click through this stuff like this. It's the only way I can do it without getting a copyright. Anyway, I don't know whether there's any reference to architecture within the dam itself with this stuff. I haven't really got into that phase yet. But anyway, the rocket board contacts that keystone that we focused in on earlier, and they go crashing through the deal there. And that's basically the end of the scene. I don't think there's anything else that interesting in there. But what a scene. The only other interesting thing that's in that scene is the time that's on the clock, and I don't think I can get a shot of it. But I'm pretty there we go. I'm pretty sure we are at, there's a blur there, but again it looks like we could be close to the 4 minutes past 10 again. What are the chances that that pops up at that time again? Anyway, that's it for that. So there's some references there, and I'm sure there's a lot more references in the film and in the other films, but I haven't had time to sort of sit down and think about it properly. I'm doing this kind of off the cuff. Excuse me. Now, I don't know why I decided to look at this, but I'm like, history, they like to do things, and there likes to be little echoes back in time. And with the whole Back to the Future thing and the echoes in time, I thought, I'm going to look at other dam collapses and see whether there's anything referenced that's close to, a potential Hoover incident. And I come across this. And I mean, you just can't write this stuff. When you see these pictures, you'll be going, oh my gosh. So we've got the Vaillant Dam, maybe that's how you say that. I don't know. It's in, guess where it's at? It's in Italy. And would you Adam and Eve it? But Italy keeps popping up quite a lot, doesn't it, in this whole Corona episode? We've had the big outbreak in the north there. Well, was it around Venice? Wherever, anyway. In Italy, we had the big outbreak and all there to do in the media. We've had the Kobe thing, of course. Kobe spent a lot of time growing up as a child in Italy. And I think that blue and white helicopter also references the blue and white that Italy seemed to use an awful lot in there. Because, I mean, of course, whenever they're playing sports, they seem to be wearing blue and white. And I did come across some interesting stuff. It was Kobe's dad that was playing in, I think he was playing basketball in Italy. And I can't remember the teams exactly, but anyway, couple of the teams he played for, one of the teams, of course, was a blue and white kit. And of course, Italy, whenever they play sports, they're in a blue and white kit. The soccer team, football team, whatever you want to call it, they're in blue and white. The rugby team plays in blue and white. They play in blue and white. Is it a reference to the maritime nature of Italy and maritime law and all this stuff coming from the Vatican? Whatever it is, the blue and white is popping up an awful lot. It's definitely a reference to water as well, blue and white. Now, of course, I'm coughing like a bugger. But anyway, we've got this picture here. Now, bear with me on this. We've got a bridge in front of the dam. Let me find a better picture of it, because I'll tell you something. That's the same. What am I clicking on? I've got the same thing up here, and I had a bunch of pictures of it. Oh, bloody hell. Here we are. This is the pictures we want. Now, look at this. This is the same dam. Look at this. This must be an earlier picture, I think, with an arched bridge. Where have you seen this arched bridge before in front of a dam? Yes, it's the same. It's the same, but it's echoed right here with the Hoover Dam. This bridge it's in front of the Hoover Dam. This new bridge that they've built to take traffic off of having to cross the dam. Excuse me again, but I hope I'm not blowing out people's ears with this coughing. But the symbolism of, I mean, this mirroring it's spooky. Definitely very spooky, isn't it? Anyway, this dam. I'll tell you what happens with this dam is, it's not a collapse, but what happens is, again, we've got some. If you go and Wikipedia, there's some interesting dates. We've got 2/2 of March, so we've got the 3/22 or 2/23. A 15th of October here. 15 has come up for me in a few other places as well, and we've got the 1943 come up, which echoes back to the dam busters again. And what ends up happening here is there's a landslide down the side of one of these mountains. Basically, an ensuing tsunami comes over the top of the dam. It doesn't completely destroy the dam, it just takes the top of part of the dam off, but basically kills a couple of thousand people downstream. Not a very nice thing. It happens on, now this is the date that I want to pick out, because I'm gonna go Back to the Future in a minute and reference something. The 9th of October 1963. Well, we would have to have 3 9s here, with the 63, and we've got another 9 here and a 10. So we've got 19 echoed, and just some interesting numbers, And there are some interesting names that pop up in some of this stuff as well, but I haven't got time to just go into everything right now. Now, what do I want to say? This is just eerie for me coming across this. I haven't looked into any more of the numbers, just the image itself of that dam and the fact that there was a major incident there. It's very, very weird. But I want to come back to this Back to the Future thing and the time period between, because I'm going to give you a date here, and this will make sense to a lot of people, because you can pick out a whole bunch of different dates. But when we come back to this point here, with the 4 minutes to 10, so we're 4 minutes short of 10 here. The 10 being a reference to what I think would be October. And 4 minutes till, well, you'd say the 4th of October maybe? Now, what I want you to recall is this scene here, which we're 4 minutes after 10. So we've got a difference of 8 minutes. Now, when lightning strikes, we're also at 4 minutes past 10. When the clock stops at 4 minutes past 10 in 1955, when lightning strikes. Oh, another interesting thing about 1955 is the BAM dusters. The Dam Busters came out in, that movie was made in 1955. Just another interesting little snippet, actually more than just interesting that movie came out at that time. And it was a big, and it still is a classic movie. Anyway, so what we've actually got, get back to the clock down, we've actually got a difference of 8 minutes. This is very interesting because we've got a reference to 10, which refers to, I think, October. But the other thing that, and we've got the 8th. So I'm getting the 8th of October. Now, you might already be clicking here. The 8th of October, what does that refer to in Back to the Future? What does that reference in Back to the Future? If October should have been the 8th month, or if Oc is 8, we have a direct reference to 88 and 88 miles an hour, and the 88 of the messenger, and Mercury, of course, being the messenger. So we've got this 88, and of course plutonium within the film referencing Mercury, Madame Curie. So we've got the 88 miles an hour. Well, interestingly, I want to give you another little point here that I think is very important, and why I think they would use the 88 this year. If they indeed are going to do something to the dam this year, 88 is referring to, in my opinion, the Oc. The Oc. Now, we've got 20/20 vision. Now, what does Oc refer to? To oculus, or well, what do I want to say? To the eye, to seeing, basically, to the eyes. Ocular. That is what Oc is a reference to, is to vision and seeing. So what better year to use it than 2020 and this whole idea of awakening people. So if I was going to put my money on a date for them doing a dam destruction thing, it would be the 8th of October, and it would probably be this year, 2020, so that we could carry on the site thing. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't really, you know, what's the point of it? Well, let's go into let's talk just a little bit now. We've got the date sorted out. Let's just talk a little bit about the ritualistic part of this thing. Now look at this view here of this thing. We have got the dam holding back the waters, and of course the waters is the fictional system, the false idols that we all worship. That idea of I don't know, being controlled by something that's not real. And to get to some of those ideas, you have to look at some other videos. But this is the dam. And what does the dam look like? The dam looks like a body. Now, if we're going to be talking about holding back waters, and what this looks like to me here is some kind of canal, maybe the birthing canal, 2 legs and a birthing canal, and you know, of course, I think water does come out of there, and I think it also comes out of 2 side ports here. I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm kind of guessing off the top of my head that I've seen a picture that happens in. But that's interesting also that we've got this could be the bridge over troubled water, I don't know. Anyway, what we've got is we've got a figure, and this is a dam. Now, what is a dam? A dam is a female of the species. The dam is the mother. Okay, so we've got a reference to a female or a mother here, and we could be having a reference to something being birthed. Now, are we going to be witnessing the birth of the fictional system, where these waters that have been held back are now released into the world? Is this going to be a you know, is this going to be a destruction of the dam and a destruction of the fictional side of the system? And of course we're going to have the deluge, and of course we've got reference now to Noah and the flood waters coming over the world, the flood of the the maritime system that we're under, martial law, the Mother Mary birthing Christ, the real man, but the fictional. This is why the Mother Mary is wearing a blue and white outfit, isn't she? This idea of, is this the man being reborn now? Is this Mother Mary here? And this is going to be the birth of Christ, actually. This is going to be the flood waters being, this fictional system being destroyed, and the birth of the real man, the real Christ, is going to be birthed, and the real Christ being the man who has the realization that he's within nature and not within this fiction. He's coming out of the fiction, literally being birthed from the Virgin Mother, because of course the Virgin Mother is not of this world. She is essentially a spirit, essentially an idea, not really a physical form. That's why she's a virgin. Anyway, I'm waffling now, but you can see where I'm going with it. I mean, this this arch here, I had something else to say about this arch. Oh yeah, this is the arch that's going to be remaining. This arch here is going to be destroyed, and this is the balancing arch right here between the two pillars. Okay, and this is the thing that we're striving for, this balance. I don't know. I had something else I wanted to say about this arch here, and I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me after I finish the video. I'm sure of it. But anyway, I mean, you can see some of these. Oh, this is an interesting picture here as well. What we've got is we can see this. This is also a crescent moon, another reference to the feminine. And of course that goes back to that Superman thing with her all silvery when she dies. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, this rebirth again. This is the way I like to look at it. Or, is this going to be the birth? Is this going to unleash the floodwaters on the world that's going to consume the world in the fictional system? You can look at it a couple of different ways. You could look at it in a negative aspect or a positive aspect. The same way as 9/11, you could look at it as a positive or negative. In terms of, I mean, of course, if you ended up getting crushed by one of them buildings, it wasn't very positive. But I have other theories on that, but it's not to go into today. But you could look at 9/11 in that same regard as, Samson bringing down the pillars. And again, of course, Samson was blinded, wasn't he? He had his eyes took out. So it's the awakening again. It's the this idea of vision again. And so with Samson pulling down the pillars, those two pillars are the things that we are. When we have that separation, we have trouble. It's the conflict of the separation of those two things. When you view things in a holistic, as a one, in a balanced system, you don't have the conflicts start to disappear when you see the whole system as a whole. And this is what we're talking about, is seeing a whole system. So, can you view this as the whole system here? This, these two arcs. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say about it. The arc. This is what this is, an arch. This is what the ark is. The Noah's Ark. The Noah has to, the person that knows has to have an ark. This is what the sun makes in the sky. This arc. This is nature. The arc. The balancing point between the two pillars. This is what the knower needs to know, is how to balance those two things. So this will probably be left standing, this thing, as a reference to the balance. This thing represents the birth, I think, is going to be representing the birth of Jesus. Let's hope not too many people die in it, you know. I mean, I just, you know, the mind boggles at what these people are capable of, in terms of putting out or is it just the reality putting out the huge metaphors for what is going on? I don't know, but anyway, you know, this is Noah's Ark here. This is the arch. You need, in order for that arch to be perfect, you need the key. You know, Ghostbusters, you need the key master. This is the gate. Right here, the Golden Gate Bridge. This is the gate, the gateway. You have to, you know, you've got to travel across or over or whatever you want to do with the gateway, but you need that key in order for the ark, in order for the gate to be opened. Oh, anyway, I think I've covered everything. I don't think it's worth refreshing over the top of this because it's going to take ages for people to watch this video, but it's super interesting, this stuff. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed. Please go ahead and spread this. You know, I'm sure I don't, you know, I mean, I just got a funny feeling this is going to happen. You know, I've got a very funny feeling. I mean, even just the name Hoover. Why even pick the name Hoover? Just a quick two more things. Quick. What is the woman responsible for cleaning the house? What's she supposed to do? The hoovering. I know that's sexist, but you know, it's these ideas. You know, that the woman does the hoovering. It's a feminine. You know, the Hoover is a feminine object, or at least it was. I do most of the hoovering. Well, actually, I don't do most of the hoovering. I'm too lazy, but I do a fair bit of hoovering. But you know, the hoovering. What else do I want to say about that? That, you know, I did that Katy Perry video, and I was thinking, oh, it's interesting, isn't it? Right now, I'm just thinking about the Hoover and the reference to the cleaner. What does the cleaner do? At some point, he does the hoovering as well, or she does the hoovering as well. So the cleaner in that video gets hit twice with the ball and knocked over. Now, is it interesting? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That the person that would do the hoovering is getting knocked out in that video. Another link to it, maybe. Another link to this destruction of the dam. I'll tell you one more interesting thing. And it's kind of not related, but it is kind of related. And it's the seed thing with China right now. This thing, I don't know if you saw it in the news, but I think it was my in-laws that told me about it. Oh, did you hear about all these packets of seed that they keep sending from China? That people, you know, just keep getting these packets of seed. And I'm thinking, oh, that's, you know, what does that mean? And now I'm thinking, well, sowing the seeds, right? And there's some other references with that, I think, and I might do a separate video on it. But I looked up what that meant. You know, I thought, well, I'll look into it real quick. And what Wikipedia gave me back is that's called brushing. Trying to get good reviews, like on Amazon or something, you'd send out stuff, and that's not what it's about. But this is what they tell you. It's a scam to try and get better ratings on like something like Amazon. You know, they send out a product, a cheap product, and then supposedly they get better ratings. If you think about the logic of the whole thing, it's complete nonsense. But basically they've stolen your identity or something like that, and then they're gonna have get a good review on Amazon out of the deal, you know. But I thought, brushing, interesting that we've got a reference to brushing, and of course Hoover took over the work of the brush. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting that we had another reference to the cleaning and to, you know, brushing. Oh dear, I don't know what else to say about this whole thing. Of course, you can fold banknotes to come up with this. You can look that one up, and of course, I don't really see anything else there apart from one thing that I take from this image is, for some reason, look at this in 3D now, and what I get from this and the way it's done is this Art Deco feel about it. But right, bear with me, this whole thing looks to me like an Egyptian, it just looks Egyptian. And I know there's the Luxor down the road in Vegas, and I know people go on about calling this, you know, one of the greatest things to be built since the pyramid, and I know there's some conspiracy people that say there's a pyramid at the base of it and all this stuff. But if you just look at the art, what this forms here is two pillars and an arch, and this sort of fanned deal that looks, it just reminds me, so this would be a doorway here, so it just reminds me of an Egyptian type, it just reminds me of Egypt. I don't know if there's any other references in there. I don't know if that is actually, I don't know if there is a building or something in Egypt that looks like this, or has a doorway on it that looks a bit like this, with a pillar, with two pillars, an arch, and then a sort of fanned arch over the top. But that could be a reference there to something else. I'm not sure, but that's the feeling I get from that. I haven't had time to look, of course. I think we're done. I think that's the end of it. I can't think of anything else. That has to be the end of it, basically. Yeah, that's it. Of course, I think I've pretty much mentioned everything. If you were listening, you will have heard pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about in that. Like I'm just scrolling through stuff now, just to see if I've overlooked anything. Oh, I can't. Oh, one last thing. This could be the icing on the cake. In Back to the, look at this. Jeez, hang on a minute. Look at this picture. That's interesting, isn't it? It's almost like a ring of fire there. Anyway, there are several films that reference the destruction as well. I think there's like the Transformer film that's got the dam in it, and there's San Andreas, there's a destruction scene in it, and then there's what the hell else is there? There's a couple of there's several other films. But what I wanted to say was, in Back to the Future, now I couldn't find any figures for this, but in Back to the Future, and Doc goes, and we have the whole thing about the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity. Where am I going to find 1.21 gigawatts of electricity? Well, it just so happens I can't find the exact data for 1955, but I think on one of the websites for the Hoover Dam, you can find that. I think it was in, it might have been like 56 or 60 something. The output for the Hoover Dam, electricity wise, was 1.3 1.3 something when their final turbine came online. So that makes me wonder, and there was one turbine, so that makes me wonder if in 1955 we were very close to the 1.21 gigawatts of electricity being produced. Of course, they do it in, I say gigawatts, it's gigawatts, but they use it, they say it in terms of megawatts, and so of course it would be like however many megawatts, but you can convert that over into gigawatts or gigawatts. Anyway, that's another little tidbit there. There's a ton of stuff on this, and there's probably, if I went digging, that's not even without really properly digging. So God knows what else is lying there. This, I mean, there's probably be as many references to this as there was to 9/11. Anyway, there it is. Is that the birthing vessel? Are we coming out of the blue and white, and the real man going to be born? Who knows? That's the way I'd like to look at it, rather than a flood that engulfs the world. Anyway, that has to be the end of it. I hope you've got something from that, and I hope you found that interesting. I hope I didn't waffle too much. Anyway, cheers. I'll talk to you later. Bye.